Hi, everybody, and welcome back to class. Today is Leap Day, February 29th, and I hope everyone is enjoying their week so far. This is our last class session, session 8, before spring break. So we do have a number of things to finish before Sunday, March the 6th, but the week of March the 7th through the 13th, there is no class session. And this class will pick up again on Monday, March 14th. So a number of things to do before Sunday night, and then everyone in this class gets a well-deserved week off to celebrate spring break. I'm going to jump into class session 8 and take a look and see what we have to do there. There are a number of things to consider for this week, not necessarily a number of things due this week. We are getting into the second argumentative paper, and we will be looking at how that argument should be constructed and how to prepare an annotated bibliography, but you will not be completing those things in this week. We'll give you something to consider, something to think about, and you will be working on a draft of your second argumentative paper, but please notice that the draft of that paper is not due until the 9th session. In the 10th session, we will be conducting peer reviews, just as we did on the first essay, and also turning in the annotated bibliography, but the final version of your second argumentative essay is not due until class session 11. So we're going to introduce the topic today, but not necessarily turning anything in related to your second essay. For this week, you do have to complete the Session 8 discussion board, writing a 250-word reflection on your first paper, not the second one, but your first one. And in this discussion board, you're going to analyze what you learned during the classical argument paper. Mostly what I'd like to see is for you to reflect upon how this experience will help you in the next paper. Of course, you can reflect upon what you learned through that process, but at least for me, I'm more interested in seeing how you plan to do things differently the next time around. Try and post these, if you can, by the middle of this week, and that will give plenty of time for other people to respond to what you have posted. And as of this morning, I checked to see that everyone turned in the classical argument essay, of course, and I haven't read those yet, but I will read them in the next couple of days to come. But I saw that a couple of students have already posted to the discussion board. In fact, let's just go ahead and take a peek in there and see how many are in there. It's at least one or two. Yep, there are two, Shawnee and Paige. Good job. You got in early. So if you are getting ready to write your own reflection, you could read those two first and maybe use that as a guide if you agree with them on how it's been done, or if you disagree with them, construct your own. There are also some readings that you can look at on reflective writing that will give you some tips on how this should be done, including the challenges of reflective writing, the key features of reflective writing, using academic evidence, and so on and so on. And I believe, yep, this is just one page, so not too much to read. Print that off if you can. It's pretty useful. So read the essay in reflective writing, post your own discussion board by midweek if you can, and then you will choose two others to respond to. Your original post must be 250 words, and your responses should be about 200 words. Now, a quick word on discussion boards. All of those have been graded for the first essay, and if you did not get all of the points, it's usually for one of two reasons. Number one, you didn't respond to two other students. You may have only responded to one. There were a couple of those. Or your response was not thorough enough. It may not have hit the word count, or it might have been largely writing that you simply agreed with the person, which is not constructive enough criticism over what someone has written. So if you did not get all the points, that's more than likely the two reasons. Knowing that now, you have a way to make sure that in the next discussion board that you do get all of the points. Let's take a look at the draft assignment folder for the Toolman argument. By the way, there are other ways of pronouncing that word. That's the way I happen to say it, but you may hear someone else say it with a different pronunciation. And there's a number of materials in this assignment folder. First of all, we have a PowerPoint, then we have the paper instructions, and then we have a worksheet. Just a reminder that these cover both APA format and MLA format. We're only using MLA in this class. And it looks like this is a big file, so it's going to take a little while to download. I know you will go through all of these slides individually. I won't cover them all, but we'll hit a couple of highlights. Now for this essay, you're going to be using exactly the same topic that you wrote about for the first one, but you're going to be using a different argumentative style. And my laptop is working slow today. There we go. This is a 6-part model of argument, and there's detail on each of those parts. This is a very detailed analysis. And here are the 6 parts: the claim, the warrant, the support, the backing, the qualifiers, and the rebuttal. And we'll go through these in a little more detail. The claim, of course, is what are you trying to prove? What are you trying to argue? What is the point you're trying to make? And again, you're using the same subject. The warrant, as it states here, is the reason that supports your claim. So again, the claim is what is it you're trying to prove, and why are you trying to prove it? The evidence, and this is key for this type of argument, well, it is for every type of argument, but you need to choose sources that the audience is more likely to believe, that they find credible, and that they find are accurate. Now, there's a myriad number of sources for any type of argument, but of course you're going to want to narrow your focus and find the ones that most appeal to your audience. Objections and rebuttals are particularly important in this format of argument because you want to identify people who disagree with you, people who don't side with you, and then shoot them down. As it states here, anticipate the objections, and then point out why the people who do not agree with you are not valid. Because anytime you write an essay, as a person is reading it, they're going to think of exceptions. They're going to think of other sources that they have heard or read that don't support your conclusion. Well, you need to include those and then shoot them down. The Toolman worksheet, I'll show you that in just a minute. But a key part of this is making sure that you're using sources that most people are familiar with, or at least find credible and are accurate. And accuracy doesn't mean that they drew the right conclusions. Accuracy means that they support your claim. All right, I'm going to get out of this PowerPoint now because I know the rest of you are going to read through it completely. And I want to go to one of the worksheets. Well, actually, we'll take a look at the paper instructions first. And again, print this out. As I mentioned, you're using the same topic as you did before and avoid all of these topics. Your focus is the position, maybe that you stated in the first essay that you wrote, but using a different model. The audience is not necessarily me or the other people in the class, but the stakeholders interested in and or affected by your issue. Again, you're going to include a works cited page, not a reference page, because this is MLA and reference is an APA item. And here is an outline, and there's more detail about this that I'll show you later. But this is the outline for your Toolman argument. The claim, the support, the warrant, the backing, the rebuttal, and the qualifier. This paper should be 1,200 to 1,500 words, not including your works cited page, and we're only using MLA format. Due date, well, I reviewed that quickly before, but we'll talk about it again. You are not turning in a draft this time around. You will turn it in class session 9, which begins on March 14th. We'll do peer reviews in week 10, which is the week that starts on March 21st, and your final version will be due the week of March 28th, so the actual submission date will be April the 3rd. Let's take a look at the worksheet. Knowing that you already have your subject, I recommend you print this off and simply handwrite some answers to these questions. What is your claim? What is the qualifier? What are the exceptions? And then, in a sentence or so, write these out, and this will give you an absolute roadmap on how you should construct this argument using this model. What makes it relevant? What makes it effective? And this is devoted to only the first reason, not the overall argument. Is the evidence sufficient, credible, or accurate? Hopefully all three. And then go on to reason 2 and repeat the process. If you write this out, when it comes time to draft your essay, you'll have a roadmap sitting right in front of you, including the objections, those who disagree with you, and your rebuttal to them. Print this one off. It's pretty good. Here are some hypothetical style exercises related to this. I'm not going to open that now, but it includes 2 or 3 examples of how a topic can be addressed, and then there are some where they give you a topic and allow you to construct your own responses. It's a thoughtful exercise. It's nothing you need to turn in. It's something for you to consider so you can see this process in a little more detail on a subject you have not chosen. So that is for the assignment folder. Let's take a look at the annotated bibliography. And the annotated bibliography, again, will be turned in class session 10, not this week. Here's a PowerPoint on evaluating resources. I recommend you open it, go through it. I'm not going to do that now for the interest of keeping these short. This is the same with the PowerPoint and the annotated bibliography here. I believe this is from Purdue OWL. What I do want to show you is a sample of what an annotated bibliography should look like. Now I'll say this much. I finished graduate school at IU with my master's in English just this past May. So not more than 8 months ago, I was writing annotated bibliographies for my own classes. I guess if you wanted, you could ask and I'd show you one of mine, although I don't know that they're terribly interesting, but if you wanted to see one, I could send it to you. But mine looked very much like the example here. Notice we have the same citation of the source as you would include in your works cited page. And then there is a summary. And in the summary, I need to know what the article title was. Yes, it's in the citation, but go ahead and mention it again. And tell me what perspective and what opinion this particular writer has, a brief summary, and then tell me how you intend to use it. Each of these should be about 3/4 to a full page. Again, don't just write a summary of what this person is saying. A summary is important, but it should only be a couple of sentences. Most importantly, tell me their perspective, summarize of course, and then tell me how you intend to use it. And this example is pretty good. If you notice the bottom paragraph, this writer, and I don't know where they got this, I didn't come up with it, states specifically how they intend to use this source. And then there's a second one. You're going to need to do at least 5 of these. You probably have your sources already that you used in your first argumentative essay. You may decide that one of them doesn't fit this model, or maybe it wasn't as reliable upon second glance once you wrote the first essay. Of course, you can change. You may find one that simply works better for this model of argument. So read through these and notice that each of them, again, shows you where it came from. That goes to the source's accuracy, what it says, and how you intend to use it. I'm showing this to you now, but again, you don't have to start working on this immediately. It's not due until class session 10. When I was a student, and again, that was not that long ago, I found it very helpful that I had plenty of time to mull over things consciously or unconsciously and to give some thought about what it was I was trying to say and how I was going to say it. And that's what we're doing for you in this week, is giving you a chance to start to mull those things over. I'm going to go back into the class session and take one more look around. So again, there is an article on reflective writing. You must post to the discussion board 250 words of your own thoughts, answer 2 other students, 200 words each. Here is the next argumentative essay assignment folder. Look through all the materials there, and also materials on the annotated bibliography. I want you to see those now so you can start considering them, but they're not due this week. We are going to finish up this class session on Sunday, March 6th, and then we're off for a week. And I hope everyone has a great time over spring break, whether you're traveling or you're simply staying home, working, taking care of your kids, and getting more things done and not paying attention to class for a little while. That's okay. As always, if you need me, text me. 812-498-4200. If you want to send me an email, it's mstenger and the number 1 at ivytech.edu. Have a great week, everybody. I'll see you around.